watching World News program coming to you live from Algiers. I'm Mariam Zien and these are the headlines. Trump claims full U.S. control of the Strait of Hormuz. Tehran denies progress in efforts to end the war. And Pakistan reaffirms its push to bring Washington and Tehran back to the negotiating table. Coming up tonight, the United Nations warns that the situation in the West Bank has reached a dangerous turning point. The Palestinian Commission of Detainees and Ex-Detainees Affairs reports nearly 4,800 young Palestinians held in Zionist prisons. And Palestine calls on the Security Council to fulfill its responsibilities and to end the Zionist occupation. Next, the Samar University of the Sahrawi Republic reaffirms the Sahrawi people's right to freedom and independence. The Polisario Front says growing international support for the Sahrawi cause at the World Social Forum in Benin undermines the Moroccan narrative. And the rare solar eclipse obscures up to 97% of the sun over Algeria. Astronomical associations launch a nationwide observation campaign, and millions across Spain and Iceland witness the historic phenomenon. Welcome to the details. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday that the United States has complete control over the Strait of Hormuz, adding that Washington intends to maintain that control, describing the U.S. naval blockade as a wall of steel. In a post on the Truth Social platform, Trump said Iran could do nothing about the blockade, claiming that Tehran possesses neither a navy nor an air force. PBS quoted the White House as saying that it would be wise for Iran to agree to a deal with the United States, adding that otherwise Tehran knows what will happen. The White House comments came in response to an interview given by Brigadier General Mohammad Reza Naqvi, advisor to the Commander-in-Chief of Iran Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, to Iran State News Channel. In the interview, Naqvi said victory would be on Iran's side in the war after what he described as the defeat of Washington's two main objectives, toppling Iran's leadership and dismantling the Iranian state. And the senior Iranian source cited by Reuters on Wednesday ruled out discussions between Iran and the United States on extending the ceasefire, saying Tehran believes the temporary agreement had no formal start date and therefore there is nothing to extend. The source also accused Washington of violating the temporary agreement 48 hours after it was concluded and then withdrawing from it a few days later. The Iranian army said that the administration of the Strait of Hormuz as a source of Iran's geopolitical strength will undoubtedly remain under Iran's management and supervision. Deputy Commander of the Iranian Army for Executive Affairs, Ali Reza Sheikh, was quoted by IRNA on Wednesday as saying that 75% of Iran's missile and drone capabilities remain intact. He added that Iran is working to immediately resume the production of advanced military equipment, noting that efforts to reproduce drones and missiles are ongoing. And Pakistan's foreign ministry announced on Wednesday that Interior Minister Mohsen Naqvi is currently visiting Iran to discuss regional security and stability as well as developments across the region. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Tahir Andrabi told reporters that during the visit, the minister is holding talks on bilateral relations, regional security and stability, constructive engagement among regional parties, and the latest developments in the region.
For Interior, Mr. Mohsen Naqvi is visiting Tehran these days for meeting with senior officials, Irani officials. His visit provides an opportunity to discuss bilateral relations, security-related matters, regional developments, with a particular focus on efforts to promote peace, stability, and constructive engagement amongst the parties in the region and regional developments.
The Pakistani Foreign Ministry spokesperson also noted that regional developments were discussed during phone calls held by Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar with officials from Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Kuwait. Let's have a listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, Senator Mohammad Ishaq Dar remained actively engaged in the diplomatic outreach, including important bilateral telephone conversations with his counterparts and other international leaders. On August 9th, he spoke with the Canadian Foreign Minister, Ms. Anita Anand. They exchanged views on regional developments, including the recently signed Mecca Agreement and the evolving situation in the US-Iran context. The situation in Palestine, particularly East Jerusalem, was also discussed, and they agreed to remain actively engaged in their bilateral interactions.
And Iran's Supreme National Security Council Secretary Mohsen Razai called for the release of Iran's frozen assets and welcomed China's opposition to what he described as an anti-Iran resolution at the UN Security Council. During a meeting with the Chinese ambassador, Razai also blamed the US for insecurity in the Persian Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, and the Gulf of Oman, saying the strait would remain closed unless Washington changes its behavior and accepts Iran's conditions. Moving on to occupied Palestine, Zionist occupation forces carried out a large-scale raid and arrest campaign across several towns and governorates in the occupied West Bank early on Wednesday. The forces stormed the town of El Yamoun, northwest of Jenin, and arrested Noor Khahir Frihat. They also raided the towns of El Silah, El Harithiyya, Silat El Tahir, and Araba, arresting a young man and a former prisoner, while conducting field interrogations of a number of Palestinians, according to the official Palestinian news agency Wafa. Local security sources said Israeli forces also entered the town of Beitunia, west of Ramallah, and arrested journalist Muhammad Awad after raiding his home. Additional arrests were reported in the city of El Birah. The Palestinian Commission of Detainees and Ex-Detainees Affairs announced on Wednesday that 4,769 young men and women between the ages of 18 and 48 are currently being held in Zionist prisons. The Commission's head, Ra'id Abu al-Humus, said the figure includes 4,713 male detainees and 56 female detainees. He added that 41 Palestinian prisoners have died in Zionist custody since October 7, 2023.
Israeli occupation authorities and their security and military apparatus are focusing their targeting on Palestinian youth. The number of young prisoners inside Israeli prisons and detention centers within the mentioned age groups has reached 4,713 young male prisoners and 56 female prisoners from the same age group. Since October 7, 2023, the number of prisoner martyrs has reached 41 out of a total of 91, and the bodies of 40 of them are still being held, in addition to the bodies of dozens of people from different age groups still being detained.
The Palestinian Prisoners Club said nearly 40 journalists, including 5 women, are currently held in Zionist prisons following the arrest of Muhammad Awad in Ramallah on Wednesday. The group added that more than 250 journalists have been detained since October 2023, while 3 remain under house arrest and 19 are being held under administrative detention in the West Bank. It also reported that over 260 journalists have been killed during the war, including 2 who died in custody, while the whereabouts of Nidal al-Wahidi and Haytham Abd al-Wahid remain unknown. The organization said Palestinian journalists continue to face arrest, torture, and enforced disappearance. And 2 senior UN officials have warned that the occupied West Bank is at a critical juncture amid escalating violence, displacement, and expanding Zionist settlement activity. Addressing a UN Security Council session, UN Deputy Special Coordinator for the Middle East Peace Process, Ramiz Alakabarov, said the worsening situation is deepening the occupation and undermining the prospects for a viable and sovereign Palestinian state.
While the fragile ceasefire in Gaza and regional tensions can consume much of the international community's attention, the West Bank is at the breaking point. And this has not been a sudden deterioration. It's the result of the decades of unresolved conflict that has deepened the unlawful Israeli occupation, driven the Palestinian Authority to the brink of collapse, and undermined the prospects for an independent, viable, and sovereign Palestinian state. Settler attacks, which were previously concentrated in Area C, are increasingly reported in Area A, and even in Area B, and even in Area A. Israeli military operations and movement restrictions continue to disrupt civilian life and humanitarian operations, while refugee camps particularly affected.
And for her part, UNICEF Deputy Executive Director Hanan Suleiman told the Security Council that escalating violence in the West Bank, including East al-Quds, is causing severe harm to children.
Over the past 3 years, settler violence and increasingly militarized operations have escalated sharply across the West Bank. Children have been killed and injured, families have been displaced, homes, schools, and essential infrastructure have been attacked or destroyed. And the fundamental spaces of childhood, the home, the classroom, the street, the community, are becoming increasingly unsafe. Excellencies, the numbers tell us just how grave the situation has become. Between January 2024 and the end of July this year, 174 Palestinian children were verified killed by the UN in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem. That is more than one child every week.
On Tuesday, Palestine called on the UN Security Council to assume its responsibilities towards the Palestinian people and work to end the Israeli occupation. Addressing the Security Council in New York during a session on the escalation in the West Bank, Palestine's permanent observer to the United Nations, Riyad Mansour, warned that Israel continues to annex Palestinian land and employ various forms of pressure to displace residents of the West Bank. He stressed that Israel's objective is to acquire as much Palestinian land as possible while leaving the smallest possible number of Palestinians on it.
Israel's objective remains the same: seizing maximum Palestinian land with minimum Palestinians. All its policies can be traced back to this singular objective pursued through military assault, settlers' violence, home demolitions, discriminatory laws, and annexation measures. The tools and the excuses may vary, but the pattern is always the same: uprooting Palestinians from their land or denying them the right to build on it, to grab it.
And regarding the war on Gaza, Mansour accused the Israeli authorities of acting according to electoral considerations and undermining international efforts aimed at ensuring the implementation of U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to end the war.
The plan builds towards reunification of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, as many of you have indicated, under the Palestinian Authority, Palestinian self-determination, and independent statehood. The Israeli government is fully committed at preventing them at all costs and by any means, and they don't hide it. They announce it every day. While Palestine and the Arab and Muslim countries are doing their utmost, and a number of these examples and statements that were released recently were referred to, are doing their utmost to ensure the implementation of the plan, Israel keeps undermining it, whether for electoral purposes or territorial objectives. This constant undermining of international efforts has to stop.
The Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza announced that hospitals across the enclave received the body of one recovered martyr and treated 2 wounded people over the past 24 hours. In a statement issued on Wednesday, the ministry said a number of victims remain trapped under rubble and in the streets as ambulance and civil defense crews are still unable to reach them. The ministry added that since the ceasefire of October 11, a total of 1,259 people have been killed, 4,148 injured, and 808 bodies recovered. In according to the ministry, the overall death toll since the start of the war on October 7, 2023 has risen to 73,388, while the number of wounded has reached 174,259. In other news, the 14th edition of the Summer University for officials of the Polisario Front and the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic continued for a second day in Boumediene, Algeria, with the participation of Sahrawi President Brahim Ghali. Held under the slogan Resistance, Freedom and Full Independence, the event runs until August 20 and brings together more than 330 participants, along with academics and international supporters of the Sahrawi cause. And speaking at the opening Summer University, President Fatma al-Mahdi said, "The gathering reaffirms the Sahrawi issue as a decolonization cause and serves as a platform to defend the Sahrawi people's right to self-determination and independence." And participants in the 14th edition of the Summer University for Polisario Front and Sahrawi State officials said the event represents a continuation of the Sahrawi people's struggle for what they described as their just cause, which they said is not open to compromise. During the second day of activities, participants reiterated their rejection of the Moroccan occupation attempts to undermine their legitimate rights, stressing their commitment to continuing the struggle to secure the Sahrawi people's right to self-determination and achieve freedom and independence.
Today's lecture is delivered by 5 Algerian and Sahrawi lecturers focused on the foundations of the Sahrawi cause, particularly Sahrawi historical memory. They sought to highlight the different stages of the Sahrawi people's struggle, as well as the current challenges they face on the political front. The lectures also focused on the legal dimension of the Sahrawi cause and on how to defend it from various perspectives.
In a related context, academics and specialists in political science and international relations highlighted the pivotal role of Algerian diplomacy in defending just causes around the world through various international forums, foremost among them the Sahrawi cause.
We discussed the role of Algerian diplomacy, which plays a major part in defending the Sahrawi cause. Algeria continues to support just causes around the world, foremost among them, the Sahrawi cause. Since the Sahrawi people fell under Moroccan occupation, Algeria defends this cause diplomatically in various international forums, including the African Union and the United Nations.
And Algeria is strengthening its energy presence in Niger through a new Sonatrach-led exploration project at the Kafra oil field. The company is preparing to drill a nearly 4,000-meter deep well following earlier discoveries that highlighted the area's oil potential, further boosting energy cooperation between the two countries. Yassine gives more details.
Algeria's state energy company Sonatrach is preparing to drill a new exploratory well in northern Niger as part of efforts to assess the oil potential of the Kafra field.
Regarding the well drilling project, the well is currently undergoing final preparations before drilling begins, God willing.
The Kafra Southeast 1 well, located southeast of Wed, is expected to reach a depth of about 3,900 meters. Its results could determine whether the field is commercially viable and ready to move from exploration and appraisal towards development and production.
We will begin with this project, but we also have extensive experience in this field that we will bring to it. God willing, this will be Algeria's gateway to expanding our access to Africa.
Sonatrach has focused on the area following exploration work in 2018 and 2019 that identified significant oil indicators and resources. The project also forms part of wider energy cooperation between Algeria and Niger. Beyond drilling, Sonatrach is providing technology and technical expertise while training Nigerian workers and personnel. The partnership reflects Niger's efforts to develop its hydrocarbons sector and strengthen local technical capacity, while giving Sonatrach a role expanding its regional presence. For Niger, successful exploration at Kafra could help unlock additional domestic energy resources and support future investment. For Sonatrach, the well offers an opportunity to assess the field's commercial prospects and potentially support a new phase of oil development in the country.
Algerian Minister of State and Minister of Energy, Mines and Renewable Energies Mohamed Arqab supervised on Wednesday the signing ceremony of contracts related to the construction of several strategic facilities linked to the integrated phosphate project. The ceremony held at the headquarters of Sonatrach was attended by several government officials, including Interior Minister, Finance Minister, Public Works Minister, Water Resources Minister, Mines Minister, as well as the Chinese and Italian ambassador to Algeria, Sonatrach CEO and representatives of partner companies and relevant institutions. The signing covered two strategic contracts. The first concerns the construction of port infrastructure in Annaba between Sonatrach and the China Harbor Engineering Company. The second covers facilities for the integrated phosphate project at the Bled al-Hadba site in Tibisa province and Wad al-Kibrit in Soukharas province, signed between Sonatrach and the Italian company Saipem under a fast-track implementation formula.
تكتسي مراسيم اليوم أهمية خاصة.
Today's ceremony is of particular importance as it not only marks the culmination of a long process of studies, preparation and negotiations, but also represents a genuine transition to a new phase in the implementation of the project. We're signing two strategic contracts today that form the two fundamental pillars of this phase. The first concerns the construction of the integrated phosphate project facilities at the Bled al-Hadba site in Bir el-Atra province and Wad al-Kibrit in Soukharas province, with the Italian company Saipem using the EPC fast-track model to accelerate completion and ensure compliance with the established deadlines. The second contract concerns the construction of port facilities in Annaba province with the Chinese company Shenggu. Therefore, we are not signing two separate contracts, but rather laying the foundation for a single integrated system linking the mine, industrial processing, transportation and export. This will allow Algeria to move beyond simply adding value to raw materials towards producing and marketing high-value added products.
And large parts of the world witnessed a rare solar eclipse on Wednesday evening, with the Maghreb countries among the Arab regions offering some of the best viewing conditions. Algeria recorded the highest level of solar obscuration in the Maghreb, making it one of the most favorable locations for observing the phenomenon. The eclipse covered about 97% of the sun's disk in the city of Tunis, in Chlif province, and around 96% in Algiers, making the event particularly visible along the country's northern coastline. The partial solar eclipse began in Algiers at 6:02 p.m. local time and reached its peak at approximately 7:33 p.m.
We organized this event, which benefited a group of young people and families who are passionate about science and space exploration and who wanted to learn more about this phenomenon, the eclipse. We provided them with information and advice to help them understand the phenomenon and avoid the risks associated with the eclipse, particularly ultraviolet and infrared radiation. We provided them with astronomical glasses to observe the phenomenon. We also used a telescope and set up another observation device. There is already anticipation for the next major and most important event on August the 2nd, 2027, next year. It will take place during the day at around 10 in the morning. It will be a major event, a total solar eclipse.
We came here today with the family and the kids to let them experience this amazing astronomical event. These are special moments that you have to catch at the right time because they don't happen every day. It's a great opportunity for the kids to learn more about astronomy and discover these incredible phenomena. We'd also like to thank the Alpha Omega Association for bringing us here and providing us with the glasses that allowed us to safely enjoy this amazing spectacle. We're having a wonderful time.
And finally, millions of people have gathered in Iceland and northern Spain to witness Western Europe's first total solar eclipse in 27 years. The astronomical phenomenon occurred just hours before the moon is set to cover the sun. Spanish officials warned people to avoid areas where a heat wave has raised the risk of wildfires. Authorities were expecting up to 6 million visitors in mostly rural areas within the eclipse's path across the north of Spain and Balearic Islands. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our newscast for tonight. Thanks for watching and have a great night.